Welcome back to Tom's Tourney. The battle in Bruges continues, and we're getting down to business time in the women's division. Yaka versus Iceni. Yaka having been beaten by the Groot women, and Iceni coming through a tough power pool and losing to Shout. These two teams meet in a quarter-final matchup out here in the sunshine in Bruges. It's Tom Styles alongside Iceni and SICK alum Rachel Douglas. First time on the stream, and she's done a fantastic job. Rachel, these two teams, we've seen them a few times this weekend already, and what can we expect to see in this game?
This is going to be an amazing game, that I can tell you right now. Two incredibly talented teams with a lot of experience across both lines. They're teams who are very, very versatile. Iceni say to expect the unexpected with them, and I think that can probably be put across both teams that we're going to look at today. Lots of deep shots on, lots of athletic receivers, lots of like small ball, fast moving from the handlers. I think we're going to have a really exciting game of really varied play and absolutely top standard women's ultimate.
Yeah, we have a variety of players to pull out of these two lines. A big line for Iceni. They've got the full squad here this weekend, and Rebecca Thompson. You will have heard her on multiple World Flying Disc Federation broadcasts over the years. Commentary partner of mine. But we've been working together for a lot of World Championships. She's captain of Iceni this year, alongside Kat Pope, and the two of them are lining up. We've got Hannah Brew, who is going to be doing a lot of the handling work as well. Missing Amelia Kenneth this year, out with an ACL, but they are always thinking of her. And for Yaka, Aline Mondiaux, or Rasta, in the 18 shirt, you can expect to see her doing a lot of work with the disc.
Yeah, absolutely. She was really fundamental in the game this morning they had against Groot women. Big defensive pressure, really taking away a lot of options and putting the handlers under pressure. And then, of course, her throwing repertoire is unbelievable. So also able just to maximize any opportunities that Yaka found downfield. And Mondiaux now with her hand in the air for the pull.
So we get ourselves underway here in quarterfinals, and it's Brew sends the disc down to Lucy Barnes. First cut not available, hands free now. Hannah Body was there, but the timing of the turn from Barnes wasn't quite right. Hands up, but it's comes across the top, swirling. And Bailey Melvin Tang couldn't connect with that one, and Mondiaux picks up a break opportunity early in this game for Yaka. They advance quickly to Delaval. Delaval spins it into the end zone, but the wind catches that, pushes it down, and that is a turn back. Elise Becker seeing the disc die in front of her in the breeze. Brew. Melvin Tang goes up with two hands, and the breeze bobbling the disc as it approached. There's some adjustments needed to be made in the conditions, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the breeze is a little bit erratic here. It comes and goes, and it changes directions a little bit because of the trees. So the teams really need to try and take stock of that and adjust as much as they can. So
it's a cross-field wind, really, coming straight towards us, maybe slightly out of the left. And you can see over to the far side of the field, there's a big bunch of trees which will be creating all sorts of swirls as it comes across the field, and the disc gets pushed beyond the run of Chloe Levet.
Both teams starting off a little bit sloppy here, not able to kind of come in finely tuned. They both had exciting mornings, they both had big games this morning, and they both really, really want this win. So absolutely they're going to need to adjust and try and tidy things up.
The disc from Brew to Body goes to Kat Pope. She doesn't manage to connect, and another short field opportunity for Yaka. Puts it into the back, but Lucy Barnes gets a touch, but it's not enough to stop the pass. It's caught at the back of the end zone.
Yeah, nice quick and decisive movement from Yaka there. Iceni just a little bit on the back foot. They're trying to move the disc around the back, trying to create some space and work the disc downfield, but unfortunately just dropped it on that swing, basically on the end zone line, giving Yaka a really short field, which they absolutely exploited and took that first point. High turnover rate for the first the first point though, so hopefully that's just something that they just are working out of their system. A few miscues from Iceni there. I think that was sort of more a case of them giving turnovers than turnovers being taken, which means it's within their power to turn that around, to make those adjustments. They'll be disappointed to have had a few turnovers in such a short field, but that's something that it's the first point of the game, and they've got a lot of time now to adjust and come back stronger.
Yeah, nobody wants to have their offensive line turned over 3 times in the opening point of the game. That's what Iceni have got to deal with. These conditions are going to lead to a lot of turnovers in this match. And keeping you cool and adapting is perhaps going to be the test of captaincy and leadership for Iceni, as well as personal execution. Thompson running away from Kat Pope. Second time around, she's going to have to reach, and she does reach, but she's outside the side of the line. Again, we see that wind coming towards us, taking the disc away from Thompson. And a turnover again, this time coming from Yaka. They chatting to some of the Iceni players yesterday in the fantastic party area. Great atmosphere down there, and they were reflecting on how the work that they've put in is all building towards the UK Nationals. So this is part of a season-long tournament building effort, building the chemistry between the players, the team spirit, the team values. We've got a coach in Tom Bannister-Fletcher, and they've got the disc back now after that handling error with Becky Thompson to Kat Pope. Pope looks for options and doesn't find any. Resets back to Thompson. He's got body this side but doesn't use it. Nice shot through the middle, through Charlie Ellis. Ellis moves the disc further on to Van Krikken. Ellie Taylor. Taylor drops a shoulder and resets. The disc gets caught in the wind, and it's going to be caught by Body. Well adjusted and sneaking up on the garbage from Hannah Body. The wind again causing a problem. Coming out of the middle of the stack, it's reacting first is the Yaka number 88, Andrea Zenz.
Yeah, both teams I think just need to recognise that this has now turned into a windy game. You know, before we were in a pretty still game with little bits of breeze, but I think this would now classify as starting to be a windy game, and they really need to adjust their throws, adjust their cuts, and make sure that they're taking stock of that.
Again, feet right on the line from Chloe Valet. Claire. Oh, sorry, Kerr. Rika Kerr with the disc in the 0 shirt.
I think a foul's been called on this one. I think it's difficult with these marking fouls. Any sort of movement from Elisa will generate a foul call. But I do think that was sort of a fake maybe into the area that she was moving into. So bit of a tight call. I can understand why she'd have a second to think about that, but resolved.
Della Val back to Kerr, across the field to Matthias. Resetting, nice reset. Dish over the top with the breeze, and it's a difficult disc to catch, and Andrea Zenz can't. And another turnover.
Yeah, Van Krikken doing a great job there to keep pressure on, making sure she's right with her Yaka player, not letting her get away, and ultimately putting enough pressure on her that in this windy conditions she wasn't able to come down with the disc.
And many of the players on this team are close friends of yours over the years, Rachel?
Yes, I'm trying to keep it professional, but I've got a lot of pals represented in this team and some of the other GB teams here today. Yeah, it's a delight to watch them play.
Ellie Taylor sprinting hard to get that one. There's attention from Chloe Valet, laying out to catch it. Gets it across now to Charlie Ellis. The deep shot wasn't good. Caught by the wind again.
Caught by the wind, and that's a really hard line, throwing like in that same channel, standing in that channel and trying to throw down that same sideline to a fairly kind of directly in front cutter. It's a really tricky one, and in these conditions that's going to be really hard to pull off.
But those same third throws are never the optimal option. Valet turns to see Zenz cutting around. Kerr under pressure. from Camilla. Camilla spearing. Body light on the toes. Rika Kerr. Slightly off balance and a travel. New addition to the Iceni line this year, Camilla spearing. Delaval for Yaka. Opens up the space, what a disc, into acres of space where previously there had been none. Delaval unlocks the Iceni defense for a second break, 2 in a row at the start of this game. Iceni needing to rally now.
Yeah, absolutely. Delaval making great work of finding that space and just putting out that beautiful floating disc out onto the break side for the Yaka receiver. Iceni just not adjusting yet. I think they're sort of we're seeing nice movement starting, and then some miscalculations, some overthrows, some throws not quite adjusted for the conditions. And yeah, I think this is well within their power to adjust, but they're really going to need to make the decision to make that adjustment. Yaka just being a little bit more gritty at the moment, I think, taking their time that moment more on offense, and making sure they're getting those turns. So. Yeah, Iceni is still plenty of time. I think if they can take a breath and play the game that we know that they're here to play, I think that's something that they're really working on, is their team cohesion and just sort of setting their own pace and feeling confident within their own squad. And they absolutely should be going into this game. You know, the Yaka are a formidable opponent, but Iceni and Yaka is a great matchup that we always want to see, and it can always go either way. So that's just a decision I think that they need to make.
And this disc is going to catch the wind. Is it going to accelerate towards the sideline? Katie Flight hopes it does, and it does. Well read. It's wind coming towards us. It's dropped a little bit again, Rachel. It's going to be continuously adapting the conditions.
Yeah, just making sure that as they're about to release the disc, they're really setting themselves for the conditions in that moment.
Bailey Melvin Tang busting a gut to get free. She's available deep if they can find her. Can they find her? Yes, they can find her. She's going to have to run hard, but she does so well. Bailey Melvin Tang exploding into the deep space. She's done that season after season for Bristol, finding a new home here in London. And she's got the first point for Iceni.
Yeah, great work there. Fi Quan catching the disc, turning and looking. I think she already knew that Bailey Melvin Tang was moving into that space. Just took that second to set herself, as we've seen perhaps not every thrower doing so far, but she took that extra second. She put that disc out, and that was a beautiful option for Iceni there, and that's them on the scoreboard, which is a much needed score boost, but also kind of confidence and morale boost, knowing that they're absolutely able to put that up there.
Yeah, Bailey Melvin Tang going to be much missed, I think, in Bristol. She was a big part of the squad, but as with so many players, when they move to London, the Iceni call is only a matter of time, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think for Melvin Tang, it was a life choice. I believe she's studying in yes. London University, so the commute to Bristol is a bit challenging. But I think she's left part of her heart there. Although yes. I'm sure she's very excited to be playing with Iceni.
Well, what a grab out of nowhere! Chloe Valet picks up the disc from Kathy Meisel, flowing again, and a high grab. Kerr cleans up the work, and Yaka score. Meisel with the big arm, but there was no right at all for Chloe Valet to end up with that disc. It came through a crowd of Iceni players, none of them connected with it, and a French score to take it to 3-1.
Yeah, Chloe Valet just seeming like she pinched that out of the air. I'm pretty sure that was right in her fingertips, just caught that edge. And actually, we've seen her do that. This is not the first game we've had streamed for Yaka, and that seems to be a routine move for her. Just sort of pulling out those grabs that just she seems to have no right to get. Doesn't seem to be in position, but somehow comes down with it. So excellent work from her to make sure that they secured that, and then were able to pass that in for the goal.
Yeah, Melvin Tang been playing for 9 years. We're just explaining. She moved to London to study energy and transition to net zero at UCL.
A noble cause.
Yes, yes. Her first season with Iceni after 8 years playing with Bristol. Born and bred in the West Country.
Yeah.
But the French side of Yaka are in the ascendancy at the moment. 3-1 they lead. It's the big disc from Paula Bass. Nice attempt to adjust the pull. Seeing if they can control the edges. Big crosswind coming towards the camera and swirling. And often the correct pull there is a sort of high pull with the windward edge down, just going to control sort of bending the disc back towards the wind. You don't tend to get too much distance on it, but you got much more chance of keeping it in the field. And a mistake. Ellie Taylor not completing that pass. Paula Bass looking to score quickly here. There'll be a third break for Yaka, but the Costello can't wrap her hands around it, and Pope quicks up quickly. Melvin Tang sets off at her pace. Thompson sends it. She reads. She doesn't quite connect. There was pressure coming underneath from Elise Becker, and maybe the sight of Becker lurking towards that disc. Melvin Tang took her eyes off it for a moment.
Yeah, just a pressure D, I think there. That was a really well-weighted throw from Thompson. Melvin Tang was in position, but just unable to actually bring that down.
And Thompson again chasing Paula Bass. It's going to be a good matchup. Watching those two players compete for the disc down the far side. Cronier, just a little bit of a touch from Hannah Brew. Maybe a timeout would be a good call here. Just settle the nerves. Down the line, Ellie Taylor collects. Bailey Melvin Tang continues the cut. It's going to go over her head, but she reads it. She doesn't quite connect. Paula Bass pulling off to take that deep threat.
We're seeing a surprising number of drops here. You know, this is two teams who are struggling to adapt to the wind and struggling with some of these conditional things. And of course, that will impact their ability to catch. But we're seeing people getting hands to disc on both sides and just not managing to hold on to it, which is a real shame. But hopefully that's something that they can kind of adjust. Perhaps that's just nerves. This is a quarterfinal.
Oh, just to prove your point, Rachel, commentators confirmation there. Straight over the top of Yaka. Brew resets to Thompson. Thompson to Body. Body looking for something. Ellie Taylor sparkles free. And the lightning quick feet of the 37 shirt of Ellie Taylor creates the space to score in the front corner.
Yeah, great work from Body there. That throw from Thompson just going a little bit behind her, and despite the fact that she did have a defender right on her shoulder, she still managed to just take that pause and twist her body even while in sprint, in stride, to catch that, and then very calmly finds Ellie Taylor in the end zone for the score.
26-year-old doctor, Ellie Taylor. She's been playing for 9 years.
Yeah, she's again. This Iceni team is stacked with names. You know, they've got a lot of young up-and-comers, which is really exciting for the squad. But some of these other players, they're sort of names that you say in UK Ultimate, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I know that person, and I've played against that person, and I've played against Ellie Taylor, and I've been on teams where we've had long chats about like, how do we stop her, how do we slow her down, and the answer is, I don't know, trip her.
No. Well, you can't. You can't beat somebody that quick.
You can't contain it. She's really a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. So it's a team sport, isn't it? You can isolate individual threats with a team reaction, and Delaval is one of the big threats for Yaka. Oh, great layout. Rika Kier again getting horizontal, throwing herself into this game for Yaka. Moves the disc across to Zenz. Back into the middle. Delaval again. Anchoring the handling, looking for the options. Good movement from Daban. Daban looking for a reset. Finds Zenz again. It's a high floaty disc. It's going to land on the floor across the top of both. It was Catherine Ellsby running underneath that one for Iceni, and I think the intended receiver was the 46 shirts. No. Deep shot straight up the field. It's going to be a turnover though. Another thing that Hayley Dalman could do, chasing down that one, looks back up the field and wonders exactly what that was intended to do.
I think they just need to take a breath. They're sort of, Iceni there taking an option that wasn't an option, to be honest. There was Dalman starting that cutout, but was nowhere near where that disc ended up. It's a little bit overexcited. It's just a little bit desperate at the moment, and they don't need to play that, take that pace and take that line. They have the skills. They just need to take a breath and play their own game.
So there's 2 breaks from Yaka at the start of this game. Delaval gets it across. Matthias to Delaval again. Downfield, and it's swept up. It's not Hannah Brew. She's wearing an 85 shirt, but it's not Hannah Brew.
Yeah, as I understand it, I see you don't have their kit, their new kit yet, and due to this being a 3-day tournament and needing fresh shirts, they've had to sort of switch around and find some spare kit. So not all the numbers will align, unfortunately.
Joan Hammer gets it down the line, getting it back to Fiona Kwan, is that?
That's Karen Kwok.
Karen Kwok, my apologies.
Fee Kwan now.
So, yeah, Kwan on the other end of that disc. Down the line, gets a block, doesn't come back. And Rika Kier is having an absolute storming game. It's twice we've seen her horizontal in the last point, and she rescues what looked like a certain scoring opportunity.
Yeah, that Kwok Kwan movement, excellent, and they've played together for a long time. They've really got that chemistry, but great defensive effort from Care there, able to get the disc out. And you can see Fee Kwan still seeing if she could make a bid on that from the sideline, but unfortunately it was well defended.
Clara Matthias. Valet. Yaka. Calm. Care again. Floats it with the wind. This is going to hang. This is beautiful play. What a point that is. Rika Care with a block at one end and an assist of high class and high quality, exposing the space, seeing Cécile Munier running into the open side, the break side, and great work from Yaka.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about when we say that they need to adjust for the wind. And those long puts, those more sort of exciting and ambitious throws, whether it's long or in that case long and across field, they're still fully possible. You know, we're not in conditions where those options have been taken away. You just need to take that moment, take that breath, and make sure that you're executing that in a way that's going to be catchable, essentially. And that absolutely was perfectly weighted, perfectly executed into a very free cutter who had made a lot of space, and I think that was just an excellent show from Yaka there.
Yeah, the wind you can use the wind to your favour, especially in a crosswind situation. Hanging the disc up and using the wind to give you more time underneath the disc. You can throw into a bigger window on that windward side of the field rather than the downwind side of the field. The wind's always going to blow it out. It's going to reduce the time that the disc is in the air. We hope that the big umbrella that's above us doesn't get blown off our stage. Kat Pope is hoping that she can make the short pass to Lucy Barnes, which she does. Barnes looks up. Body's there, but she goes for the break throw around to Brew. Brew to Bailey Melvin Tang. Bit of a question where that was up. Not questioned by the receiver, and Becky Thompson slipped through the fingers. Mondieu quick to react. Picking it up. Lebon to Castillo. Back to Paula Bass. Only looking for the dump reset. Bailey Melvin Tang saying throw it up there. It's just enough. And a little bit of single one thought in Paula Bass's mind, which is I've got to get it to Rasta. And Bailey Melvin Tang was lurking, just face marking, looking at the eyes of Mondieu and getting the enough pressure. The wind not helping either. Thompson now needs to reset after that drop. Brew. To Body. Just need to steady the ship. Back to Brew, looking into the end zone. Can they win the foot race? They thought they could, but this time Ellie Taylor can't contain. And it's a turnover to Yaka.
Yeah, Iceni on the sideline getting really fired up on that turnover, on that block, on that excellent marking out by Bailey Melvin Tang. Trying to get that Iceni energy higher, trying to get that focus back for them on field.
Paola Bass, the target downwind, the wind is going to help her and carry it, and can she milk it all the way into the end zone? She can. It's a point for Yaka. It's another break for Yaka. Iceni trail 3 breaks, and they trail by 3 points. The French dominating this one so far.
Amazing, amazing throw by Maria Castillo there. Like, saw that option, put that out, and that's exactly what we were talking about when we mentioned thinking about where the wind is. And actually, in that case, I think, as you mentioned, using it to your advantage, she put up a huge inside-out backhand that really just picked up on that high side, picked up the wind, which carried it that little bit further, that little bit deeper, gave it that great shape, and Paola Bass was able to continue her amazing cut, run onto it, and really collect that for an amazing point. I love that option. I love to see it. I think that throw was beautiful. I loved the decision making there, and I think it was executed just flawlessly.
You're a fan. I'm getting that you're a fan.
I love to throw that throw, and I think it's often hard to see the opportunity for it in a game.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just mad respect on that one.
Yeah, quite often if 2 players are in a field practicing before a game, that's the throw they'll go with, wasn't it? That sort of deep inside-out backhand starting up high and letting it float across. In a game, you don't see it thrown very often, but the fast reactions of Maria Castillo in the 2 shirts.
Yeah, amazing. Been an amazing receiver for Yaka this weekend, and proving she's also a massive threat behind the disc.
Lucy Barnes keeping that disc alive. Iceni under a lot of pressure here. Brugge sends the disc downfield. Well worked from Iceni. That's much better. Charlie Ellis in the end zone, and Brugge's supply with the flick perfectly weighted into a lot of space. Much better from Iceni.
Yeah, great decision making there. Very calm. Love the look from Brugge. Obviously, she's a player that you really need to watch out for what she's going to throw. It can be anything at any time. And in that case, a really beautiful, really well weighted forehand just to that front corner of the end zone where Ellis had timed her cut really well. A nice decisive point, which I think Iceni really needed. They needed to just feel like they still have control over their points. They're still able to dictate their offense, and just to build that confidence. You know, the mistakes that we're seeing from Iceni are sort of they're small miscalculations, they're drops, they're things that just a sort of personal accountability, personal focus, and they could sort of really get back into this game. They're still very close on the scoreline. It's just an adjustment they need to make, and hopefully those quick points, those decisive points will give them that confidence boost to do that.
It's offensive efficiency is the difference between these 2 sides at the moment. Iceni have been turned over, Iceni's O-line have been turned over 11 times in the first 8 points, whereas Yaka's O-line, who's out on the field right now, have only been turned over twice. Castillo down the line. Big bid comes in, but it's not enough to stop Paola Bass sprinting in the end zone. Castillo to Bass, again the connection. It was a big bid that came in from the 22 shirt of Charlie Ellis. Across the field to Yaka, not quite in the end zone on the far side. Elise Becker. Mondiaux. Back across, lots of space, lots of time. Lots of hands around the disc, and a safe French offense. Not getting turned, not getting broken.
Yeah, very decisive pass into the end zone there from Mondiaux. You could just see that textbook move. Player coming from the back of the end zone to that front corner, didn't have her mark close to her. Mondiaux was able to slice that pretty swiftly, came in pretty fast, which didn't give a defense a chance to trying to get involved. Right out in front of that player, pinpoint precision, and an easy score for Yaka there.
So, 3 different scores to look at. One of our stats at, one on our scoreboard, and one on the scoreboard on the field. The scoreboard on the field is definitely wrong.
That hasn't been updated. I believe the one that we're looking at on our system is correct.
Which is it's 6-3.
6-3 to Yaka.
Yeah, so a safe hold for Yaka. Yeah, it would have been a big difference if Yaka had scored that previous point. We were saying how important it was for Iceni to hold their offense. Looking at the wrong end of a 6-2 scoreline would have been tough, but they've still got some work to do.
Iceni is a team that has a lot of grit, and now they have a short pull that maybe they're going to be able to maximise.
Yeah, Rika Kerr, having had such a strong game so far, apologising to the team, little wave of the hand as that pull goes straight into the grass. They're trying to adapt to the wind, but it what didn't work out on this occasion. Thompson to Brugge.
Yaka coming out in their zone look that was so effective against Groot.
Yeah, very effective. But Thompson finding Pope through the middle. Brugge looking a little bit hesitant there, just wanting to make sure. In this wind, you can understand that. Floats it up, and that's the risk, you see. As soon as the disc goes into the wind, Pope reacting fast, and Thompson scores at the front of the end zone. Slams it to the ground. Much more capable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Iceni, seeing a new zone often can throw you off a little bit in a point. Iceni do not shy away from the zone. They've got they've got a number of really strong handlers, and I know pretty much any zone you put on them, they're going to have an answer. I think it almost plays to their strengths a little bit more. Particularly on their offensive line, you know, with the strength they have in their handler set. And yeah, just confidently finding the spaces there, finding those gaps. Of course, some of these flows are getting a bit more floaty. I think Kat Pope did a great job to bring that one down in the middle. The wind lifted slightly. She brought that safely down, and decisively they managed to put that one in. And again, in a game where they're trying to get some momentum and they're trying to build something and build towards, you know, a more and more intense game, like getting these scores, putting those ones in, maximizing the opportunity they had from that short field of the short pull, really critical.
Yeah, it's Tom's Tourney. The battle for Brugge continues out here in the women's division. Yaka and Iceni in quarter-final action, a place in the semis up for grabs. Yaka defeated by Groot ladies earlier today on the stream. You can go back and watch that game if you wish on the Tom's Tourney stream as Mondio sends the big arm. Castillo the target. There's going to be some pressure from Iceni underneath it, and just enough work done by Fiona Kwan. Knocked that disc, didn't get it out of the way, but did disturb the path. Hammer reaching full stretch to get that disc. Kwan adjusts, a high grab. An opportunity for Iceni to break back here. And the turnover comes eventually. Paula Bass picks up for Yaka. Mondio sends up the deep shots. The wind is not affecting it. It's curving nicely back into the path of Van Week as she streaks to make it 7-4.
Yeah, it's a real shame that I think Iceni had a great pull at the beginning of that point, really sat, and they were able to get down there on defense quite quickly. They looked like they were coming in strong, coming in confidently, and Mondio just putting up that amazing long shot, recovering so much ground on the field and getting Iceni kind of caught up in this home side, and then just not able to find those connections. Trying to create a lot of space for each other, I think, trying to move the disc down the middle. Kwan and Kwok doing a great job to move the disc around the back, but unfortunately just not able to weight that in line with the conditions. It goes to ground, and Yaka capitalise.
It's by no means a sort of hook and zone, but it does recognise quite how valuable field position is in this wind. You know, working the full 64 metres between the end zones with this strong crosswind coming towards the camera is still quite a challenge.
Absolutely, and I do think there's a big mindset difference in if you a turnover is always a bit of a bummer, but to turn over so close to your own end zone line and then be really on the back foot is a big challenge.
Thompson to Brugge. Just trying to be careful with these downwind passes and upwind passes as well. The handler's really having to think hard, and great positioning from Kathy Meisel here. Just taking away that option through the middle. It's not a zone, but it's just enough of a sag. Again, Meisel operating in the channel there, forcing Pope to look off the upfield options, and a deep shot to Barnes underneath it. It's a hot bid coming in. It avoids everyone. I think she tripped. I hope she's okay. and Iceni score upwind.
Yeah, massive defensive effort there from Yaka. You could see two Yaka defenders hustling to try and get there, but Lucy Barnes had definitely a look of determination in her eyes and was not going to let that get away from her. Becky Thompson demonstrating exactly the point of taking that moment to make sure you're throwing the right throw. I think she threw that from directly in front of us, so we had a great view of her setting herself, really getting her core engaged and letting that backhand rip so that she could get the power on it, the spin on it, so that it didn't pick up in the wind and it took the trajectory that she wanted. And that was just really well executed, and Barnes did a great job to make sure that she was the one that came down with it.
Yeah, Chloe Valet eating up the turf to get over that. I think she just caught her feet and wasn't able to make a bid. Spectacular crash as she hit the turf. But yeah, any disc that sits flat or has got the windward edge up is going to just blow out in that corner, Rachel. And Thompson doing a great job to control the throw. Unfortunately, the pull coming back the other way didn't do the same. And Mondiaux picks up the captain of Yaka, so respected in the game. Mondiaux opens up the arm. Paula Bass, the target. It's cutting. Melvin Tang is going to be underneath it, and she takes it out of Paula Bass's hand, who claims that she was stripped. Melvin Tang's face says somewhat of a surprise about that call.
I think that might be Kat Rowland. From a distance,
sorry,
it's hard
my
to see.
apologies.
Who's another very athletic player and yeah, has a similar role in the team, I think, as Melvin Tang. But I think that's Kat Rowland in the corner.
Rowland up early, had position, and yet Paula Bass retracting that call. Low disc. Kwan down again. The D-line handling not quite enough. Paula Bass looks up the line. It's too easy for Yaka. They score with one pass. Van Week collects the disc from Paula Bass, and another hold for Yaka. Iceni doing this, getting the disc, but they just can't convert.
Yeah, I can't really put my finger on exactly what isn't working for them. It just seems to be really like they're just a few degrees off on all of these things. Like what we just saw there, getting a great defensive effort from Kat Rowland, gets it to Phi Kwan. Phi Kwan looks into the middle, and I think what it seemed to be a bit of a miscommunication. She tried to pass to someone who she thought was coming under, but they actually went to move out of that space. But that connection, you know, looking at someone, you should be able to trust that they're going to see their cut all the way through. And I think at the moment that's just not there, and I don't know what Iceni need to do to make that adjustment. But it's just a few degrees, such a small margin, but it's enough when you're facing a team like Yaka. They're really going to exploit that, and they're just going to make sure that you're not able to make that adjustment.
Tough questions being asked by the French here in the quarterfinals of Tom's Tourney. Former Iceni and SIC player Rachel Douglas alongside me, Tom Stiles, bringing you all the action with Ulti TV. Ulti TV multi-city broadcasting this weekend, both in Bruges here with Tom's Tourney, but also at the European Masters Ultimate Championships. Charlie Ellis looks upfield, finds Thompson, but there's been a pick called. Rika Kerr comes over, slaps hands. It's a good battle going on between the two of them. She's caught up. Body continues her cut into the end zone, having to change directions. Ellie Taylor, there's just nothing she could do. She's quick, but she'd already committed to that line cut. And when Thompson's disc caught the breeze, had to adjust, couldn't really quite change the direction as quickly as she wished. Delaval for Yaka with a chance to break and take a 4-point margin here for, straight away the disc was hot. Bit too much pepper on that. Couldn't be controlled by Kerr.
Becky Thompson puts her hands up to say, calm. She walks through, she leaves Hannah Brew and Kat Pope back in that handler position. Looking for a calm point here.
Yes, committed cutting from Thompson. Brew knew what was happening early, threw it to the space, That cut just took the defender out of the way and left a big space behind for Becky to turn her cut into.
And timeout called by Iceni. I think it's a great timeout call for them. I think they need this moment. They need to adjust. This is definitely, I mean, they've come to this tournament as a learning experience, and this is a great game. I'm sure they'll be really pleased to be able to watch this one back and really figure out like why they've been struggling in these early points. But there's still time. You know, there's still minutes of the game left. The scoreline is not a sort of a significant difference. You know, if they put their heads down, if they really knuckle down, like this is a team that can make this comeback. We've seen Iceni do this in previous years. You know, maybe there's some issue with mentality, some issue with focus that gets adjusted during the game, and they manage to come back, and that would be a huge lesson for them if they were able to take that away from this weekend, particularly looking forward to upcoming tournaments. Both of these teams will be at the London Invite in a few weeks, and that will be another great matchup for them against some of the best teams in European Ultimate. And then, of course, some more UK-based tournaments, and, of course, Cincinnati Worlds.
Yeah, I think Iceni playing Wind Farm as part of their preparation. Wind Farm is the Nottingham Tour. It's one of the biggest tournaments in the UK, massive complex in Nottingham, and conveniently about 20 minutes from my house, which it's a joy to go down and watch when the best ultimate in the country comes to your doorstep. It'd be rude not to go along. Yaka up by 2. They have 3 breaks up. And if you are enjoying the coverage that we're bringing you here from Tom's Tourney, you can always support Ulti TV. You go to, if you search Ulti TV Patreon on your Googles, then you will be able to find all the details of that. You can make a one-off donation just to say thanks to the team for putting in all the hard work, or you know, for the price of coffee price of a cup of coffee every month, you can help grow the sport of Ultimate around Europe and the world by supporting Ulti TV. More contributions, more games, more Ultimate, and we're growing the sport together. Mondio brings the disc across, looking for something, and Le Bon gets the disc back into the hands of Mondio, and a pick has been called. It's going to go back to Le Bon. Chance to catch our breath here with just a bit less than 20 minutes left on the clock. We're playing to an hour, and it's a rock solid hard stop at an hour again. The disc just flickering around. Castillo connects. Paolo Bass in the middle of the field. Change of direction from Elise Becker, opens up a nice shot forward. Good work from Van Wyk. Sends the disc, it's going to catch the wind, it's going to be some pressure underneath it, and Becky Thompson says no, slams that to the ground. Eileen Mondio picks herself up. Bit of contact between those two players. Now, at this point, maybe she's saying there was an elbow there, signalling something. Now, rather than trying to pass it around the back, do you think that Iceni ought to, at this point, just go big? Because their defense has been pretty strong.
Perhaps we haven't really seen. Oh, here we go.
We might see that happen here. Katie Flight opens up the shoulder, baby. Melvin Tang reads it and grabs it. She's got 5 yards to go. Mix up coming downfield, body, short field, grabs it back to the 1-2. It's like the textbook. It's like the training ground. The Iceni team invade. Tom Bannister Fletcher knows as a coach that's a key moment. The first break to the way of Iceni. Can they get themselves back into this game from here, Rachel?
They absolutely can. They really can. They've got the skills. They've got the experience. They really have the team cohesion. It's not been coming together for them, but it's well within their ability for it to click and for them to get a few points on the bounce. You know, it's not that big of an ask. The scoreline is only 8-7 to Yaka currently. They absolutely can, and I think great shot there by Katie Flight. I think we mentioned her earlier in the commentary, recognising that on defence and on offence she's a massive asset to this team. And just there, again, we saw a beautifully weighted, really well executed, deep shot from Katie Flight to a great cut from Bailey Melvin Tang, and then some calm. And again, looking at Hannah Body is always there when you need her. I think that's something that we can say has been consistent across this game so far. Very calm, always there for the dump pass to get free when is needed. So I think everyone involved in that play right then just did an excellent job. Great work, Iceni.
We're desperately clinging on to the concept of bias-free broadcasting, right? But yeah, it's good to see the Brits fight their way back into this game. But right now, the team from Noisy-le-Sec in the suburbs of Paris exploding down the field with Mateus over the top and dealt with a smack away by Ellie Taylor in the end zone.
A travel call on that pass, and then the turnover happened and the call was declined. I do think number 26 perhaps took a step or two extra, and Flight was quick to call her out on that, but since the turn it happened in the end zone, I think they've just made the decision to take the turnover in that instance.
This could be a key moment in the game, Rachel, with the scores balanced at 8-7. A break back would really shift the momentum in the favour of the team in black. Iceni from London. So long a team name synonymous with the highest levels of European Ultimate. They want to get back there again, and fast reaction picks that disc off from Katie Fly, and the shout goes up from Delaval. She got the block, now she's calling the plays. Break side options, floats across the top and jumps it in, and it's Kathy Meisel. More accustomed to see her with assists, but she'll take the point every single time. Great work for the team from France. They run a lot of pressure there, but they just came out so hot on defense.
Yeah, and I think that's really stifling the downfield movement for Iceni. We're seeing the handlers having to look to each other a lot and try and work it up, and really just not finding those downfield connections. I imagine it's quite frustrating for the cutters to be working hard and not getting the disc, not feeling like they're getting free. Yaka doing a really amazing job of stifling that Iceni offense, of making them feel like there aren't any options, and then they're having to move the disc at the back, and at the moment that's just not really working out for them.
The sunshine here in Bruges is it's a little deceptive, Rachel, wouldn't you say? Because when you're not in it, it's not that warm.
Yeah, we're both wearing sort of several layers, but we are sitting in the shade and sort of just feeling the breeze that we keep talking about rather than the actual sunshine.
Yeah. The team here are all wrapped up. And no, not so much need for a full body sunscreen as there was yesterday.
Sun protection is important, Don. Don't let the breeze fool you.
Kat Pope getting the disc from Hannah Brew, flicks it forward. Bailey Melvin Tang coming out the deep space, finds Thompson. Pope cutting, resets back, cutting away from Van Week, floats it forward, but it's too far ahead. Thompson had gone deep. She turns around just to see what's happened. Mondio strides with purpose and aplomb towards the disc. I believe this is mine.
Pick call downfield. Yeah, it was a while ago. Unfortunately, one of those ones where a lot of the team just keeps playing and they don't hear the call.
Yeah, I think it's coming back in on 3. Mondio. The 18 shirt, 2 assists in the game so far. We're looking for a third. Paula Bass cutting around the back, sends the low disc. It's going to be too low. It goes to the ground.
Iceni sideline going wild for that turn, really trying to get amped up, trying to give some energy to their on-field teammates.
Bailey Melvin Tang, not known for her big throws, but there's no one short. She's going to have to find something. Body, looks downfield. Bailey Melvin Tang coming underneath, but Lucy Barnes cutting across into the same space. Thompson now. Hannah Brew Signaling to the team to come shorter, and a pick has been called. Pope, I think, coming out of the stack there. In this wind, they need to make sure they've got enough space to make cuts into, but not too much space that they're looking at sort of 20-meter passes. There's the right distance and a bit of boxing there from Cronje. Her and Hannah Brew having a bit of a battle. Back to Pope. Need to get the disc moving here, Iceni. The handling connections are working well, but the defense mark is good. Bailey Melvin Tang having done a lot of work there to get up the field. Now it's Body. Body sends the disc, it's going to float, it's going to arc with the wind pushing it down all the way. Melvin Tang has done a lot of work with the legs in that point, and having to watch the disc die into the turf is never what you want.
Yeah, unfortunately, I quite like that option. I think that was a good look. It was just a little bit of an execution error there. Hannah Body tried to release that almost immediately after she turned, and I think just wasn't quite able to put the depth on it that she would have hoped.
Becky Thompson marking Paola Bass, a switch from Lucy Barnes. The deep shot goes up. It's going to ride. It's going to be perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect from Yaka. The deep shot went up. Van Week underneath it, streaking away from Kat Pope. And the French team of Yaka are 10-7 up.
Yeah, another massive, massive throw from Maria Castillo, really proving that you just can't trust her anywhere on the field. She will take those high discs down amid defenders, and she will also put up some huge hucks. Beautiful throw from her there. Great effort from Kat Pope hustling to get down there. You could really see her working hard, and she covered all that ground, but unfortunately just wasn't able to get there before that catch was secured. Again, I think just the Iceni team just haven't clicked. I think Yaka, all power to their defense. They're really making it so hard for the handlers. The force is really intense. I think the force is maybe a little bit flatter, sort of pushing the handlers more towards the sidelines, making it really hard for them to hit that mid space in the middle of the field. And they're having to keep resetting, to keep looking at their handlers, which just really upsets the flow. And Iceni not able to respond at this stage, and not able to kind of move past that, get it to their downfield cutters and get into their own rhythm.
I mentioned 26-year-old Kat Pope, who's been playing for 8 years, and she's a TV drama producer. Well, I think Iceni could well do with producing a little bit of drama out here on field, with a comeback is definitely required. Body had gone deep, but the cut didn't come. Flight. Passes to Barnes. Barnes sends it deep. There's lots of time, but just the wind took it across the top of Fiona Kwan. She looked like she'd got time and space to reel that one in, but so hard. Yeah,
Fi Kwan working really hard to try and attack that early, and unfortunately just didn't manage to get the right read on it, considering the wind and the conditions. Went over her head. A real disappointment there. I like that look. I think that was a great shot from Lucy Barnes, and just unable to kind of figure it out at that last moment.
Yeah, Kwan had more space than perhaps she realised. There was no one around her, and especially the way the disc was travelling, there was no one in that space either. She could have taken a bit of time, but it's easy for us to call out from here on the sideline. Execution on the field is what matters. Della Val with the disc, a block and a score to her name already. Valet downfield. And that disc is going to die into the turf ahead. Iceni with another opportunity here. Wasn't the most clinical offense. I think tired legs towards the end of this game. We've got 8 minutes left. Iceni needing to score 3, needing to break back to get back on even terms. In fact, they need 4 breaks here, and this is going to be an uphill climb. Flight. Karen Kwok, oh, it's the shot across the end zone. It dies into the wind, it goes to the turf. Yaka with a short field gift from the London team. And this could be the nail in the coffin of the aspirations of Iceni going forward here at Tom's Tourney. Yaka with a chance to put this game to bed. flicking it around. Toussaint, not quite in. Nearly there. Valet with the disc. The mark goes up. Break side, it's picked out of the sky by Andrea Zenz. Yaka no, with the time left on the board, the chance of an Iceni comeback is diminishing fast.
Yeah, Yaka doing such a great job on defense there. Really, like, just brutal defense that just diminishes any opportunity that Iceni have. And I think over the course of a game, it's really hard to keep your spirits high, to keep your energy up when you've been subjected to such a sort of a repressive defense. Yaka really shutting down those handler options, really taking away any of that downfield movement. And unfortunately, Iceni just having some kind of issues finding those options, even just moving around the handler set, as we saw there, getting caught on their own end zone line, looking for a dump pass that perhaps comes out a little bit too saucy, a little bit too much behind it, and into a very narrow window, and that turned and just gave Yaka that opportunity that Iceni really can't be affording to give Yaka at this stage.
I think it's important to recognise what Iceni was saying at the start of this tournament, is that the result in this tournament is part of the story, but the story is getting to nationals, getting back to being the best team in the UK. That's where Iceni see themselves, that's where they want them to be. And last year, nationals in 2021, they got beaten by Bristol quite convincingly. They don't want that to happen again. So everything they're doing this year, from Toms to London Invite to Windmill to their journey to the States, that's all building back to being the best team in the UK and one of the best teams in Europe. And maybe they need to go through some tough journeys along the way, but that pass, a little bit too much pepper on it from Hayley Dowman.
The wind just carried that one. I think that really was directly downwind. That just gave it a little bit more speed, a little bit more carry.
Paula Bass for Yaka. Sends it deep, Castillo underneath it. She's going to read this better. She accelerates it towards it and takes it down. And the defense from Charlie Ellis, I don't think she thought that disc was going to come back towards her in the wind, and the wind never arrived. The disc never came towards her. She didn't go towards the disc, and it was left there for Yaka to sweep it up.
Yeah, I think Ellis was trying to take a wide line so she could keep her eye on the disc and see what sort of angle it was coming in at. But unfortunately, Castillo just took that line a step before her, read the disc that little bit earlier, and managed to move into that space before Ellis had a chance. Once again, proving Castillo, you can't trust her anywhere on the field. She's now got a goal, an assist, and a block on her stats. Really a player who's shown her versatility this game, with some outstanding plays from all over the field. Excellent play from Yaka, and they just have the momentum behind them. They have that confidence. They're enjoying how they're playing. They're getting a lot of, I think, like a morale boost every time their defense forces one of those turns, and then they're just carrying that through onto their offense. And we're seeing that connection there that unfortunately Iceni haven't been able to find this game, but we know that they have. And to your point earlier, you know, Iceni are building. Both teams are building towards their seasons, towards some big tournaments, and really this game and this experience will both teams will come away with massive lessons, and be able to go forward stronger for it.
Flying through the blue skies here in Bruges, a gorgeous North European weekend of high quality ultimate. McCarthy, first time we've seen her on the field in a while. Gronya McCarthy, the low flick, gets that out nicely to Ellis. The throw is intercepted. Kerr with the disc now for Yaka. Across the field to Valet. The 21 shirt of Meunier. Back to Delaval. Taking the time. No pressure on the Noisy-le-Sec team. Low and unnecessary, too much sauce on that one, and it's back in the hands of Iceni. McCarthy to Brugge. Brugge opens up the toolkit. Oh, maybe, where's that been all game? Downfield, hot chase, big grab. This is better from Iceni. Spins it across the end zone, jumps it in. Oh, where has it been? The hammer across the field, the shot down, and then a really calm take and a shot into the end zone.
Beautiful, beautiful play from Iceni there, and that's the team, that's the offense that they want to be playing. They weren't flustered, you know, oh dear, I can't seem to get free for these people in front of me, and then Bruce says, no problem, I'll just pop one right over the top, throw that hammer across field to an open player who then just sends an absolute banger deep to a very free Anna Nosovic, who took that down and then passed across to an incredibly free Kat Rowland. So a beautiful play from Iceni there, and really demonstrating, you know, this team, they have it, they know they have it, and that will be the key frustration for them this weekend. It's well within their abilities to play and compete at this level and to close out games like this, and it's just been a few adjustments that they weren't able to make today, as it currently stands. So yeah, I think that will be the key of the frustration, but overall a really positive experience, a great game, showing a lot of grit and grind, and I'm sure they'll be really pleased to be able to learn from this.
Yeah, we haven't seen, you know, players like McCarthy, who was on in that point, and Anosevic. We've not seen very much of them in this game. Just getting a run out now that the game has gone. Maybe that's something that the coaching staff and the captains will look at. Maybe that was something that they will want to change up. Oh, a chance here to get another one. Quick dish back to Fiona Kwan into the end zone. Front corner, not quite there yet. Rowlands back across. Hammer cutting from the back. Dalmin cutting from the front, trying to find something forward, anything forward. A reset, fine, eventually gets found. Back the break side. High grab, and this time it's better. This time it looks like they're a team in full flow with a bit more confidence. They looked nervous in parts of this game. They don't anymore. Yeah.
I think that was Kim Marsh with the score there. Great cut right into that open side. Yeah, nice confident movement. Really seeing that that fluid offense that we know they have. I don't know, as you mentioned, there were some players on the line in these last couple points that maybe haven't played as much in this game. I don't know if that was a case of the team shortening the lines and just trying to get certain lines, maybe they're sort of high stakes lines, some more reps. But yeah, it seems like these fresher faces came in. Maybe they've reset the tone a little bit, brought a little bit of confidence. But yeah, an excellent show from Iceni on that offensive point.
Well, I think this is the hard thing in these pressure games, where your philosophy is we're going to play the whole team, we're not going to shorten our lines, and then you come up against a team like Yaka, and you know there's key moments, the wind is blowing, it's like, are we going to shorten our lines yet? Are we going to shorten our lines soon? It's hard living the philosophy in the moment, isn't it? And I don't envy anybody those decisions, because you know you're eventually always going to be judged by the result of the game, and if the result goes your way, well, everyone says you made the right choice.
That's true, but you're also, you know, both teams are talking about having this season view, and I think being able to trust the depth of your line, being able to really make sure that all of your teams are used to playing these high stake, all of your players are used to playing these high stake games, is really important, particularly when you're looking at a season that's going to have so many highlights like Nationals, Cincinnati, Worlds, and also Euros and all the various other tournaments. So yeah, an interesting call, but it is what it is, and I'm sure they'll discuss that strategy later on.
Tisson finds the disc out to Delaval, who's really anchored this Yaka handling line. Mounier, say a special thanks to Mounier. She's changed her shirt between games, and she's come across and told us that she's wearing a different shirt so we can update our rosters. That's proper play. Thank you very much, we appreciate it. Valet on the far side to Tisson. Delaval cutting through, and again escaping the attentions of Grandnieu McCarthy. Resets to Tisson. Downfield, Katie Taylor says no, knocks that away. And a chance to finish with a break here for Iceni. Is this Gráinne McCarthy calling an injury sub?
Yeah, that might be why she wasn't on in the earlier points. She might be nursing an injury and just called herself off there just to make sure she doesn't make it worse. It's a big season. You don't want to go out in your first tournament.
Yeah, if you've got a twinge, now's not the time to test it. This point is kind of academic. I mean, Iceni will want to play it and they'll want to get it right. It's the sort of execution error which has haunted them all game, I'm afraid.
So out of character, you know. This is Karen Kwok. She doesn't drop the disc, but just seems to have infected them this game.
The light feet of Ellie Taylor dancing around to prevent Tisson from getting a disc forward, but he still moves it nicely over to the far side where Dubin waits. Delaval receiving and goes to ground even when the game is won. Delaval still keeping the disc alive. Pressure. Bailey Melvin Tang getting fingertips to that, but it still makes its way forward to Monnier. Delaval once more. Valet cutting. Coming out of the stack is Zenz. Gets it across to Kier. Delaval, Ben plants a foot. Resets into the space. Slices a disc forward. Ellie Taylor sprinting but couldn't make it, and the disc dies out of the outside. I do wonder at this point, Rachel, whether it's you know, the game is over. There's no way that Iceni can win. The players keep playing on. You just wouldn't want to see an injury at this point in the game. That's the thing that worries me.
Yeah, you really wouldn't. I mean, you never really want to see an injury, but particularly now where it definitely doesn't mean anything, and there isn't a chance of a comeback. But having said that, you know, you put these people on the field, you put a disc in their hand, and they're intensely competitive. They're here to play, and they're here to practice these plays. They're here to practice these amazing hucks and these big defenses, as we just saw play out on field. They want to play and give them an extra point, give them an extra game. They will do it.
There you go. Ellie Taylor getting the disc back. Katie Flight putting a huge disc up the field, and Tisson with the block. And now she has a Katie Flight bends, grabs that. Melvin Tang cutting in the front of the stack, but she's waiting for a gap through the middle, and I'm not quite sure what she was aiming at there. Maybe it was Ellie Taylor coming back across, but Bailey Melvin Tang looked completely free from the front of the stack there.
Perhaps a little tentativeness. You know, there's been so many turns, so many options that weren't quite on this game. It can be hard to then have the confidence to hit someone off the first pass, even when you know it might be the right option.
Here she comes again, Delaval trying to get into the reset space over the top, and it's too much contact made with Karen Kwok, who's called it. I think Delaval's had a fantastic game for Yaka. She barely put a foot wrong. Got a block and a goal, and she's just been ever present in the centre of that Yaka handling line. Also got to draw attention to Van Week, Esther Van Week in the 6th shirt. I've seen her lurking in the end zone, not really involved with the disc, but she's been the deep shot they've been looking for, and 3 times that's come off. Paolo Bass with 2 assists and a goal as well. And for Iceni, Bailey Melvin Tang with her block and 2 goals. Becky Thompson with 2 goals, an assist and a block as well. Hannah Brew with 2 assists and a block. Downfield, Becky Thompson out of position now. She's going to be chasing back somebody. There's someone completely free in the end zone. Can they get the disc down there? Valet turns, finds the disc across, the wind bobbling it around. Dabin. Tisson, reset, throw. Ellie Taylor unsighted, couldn't get a hand to it. Tisson into the break side, it's caught in the wind. Valet's going to be underneath it. She grabs 2 hands, she brings down. It's an emphatic win for the team from Noisy-le-Sec. 39 they've beat Iceni, and a call on the field. And I thought that was all done. Thought we were all over.
Yeah, our bonus point is really really being drawn out. We said, you know, the game is over, there's no chance of winning this game. This point has sort of come on as a bonus point, and yet it's as competitive as any in the game. Both teams really want to compete. They really want this to come away with this final score, to end this game on a high, no matter what the final scoreline might be. So not sure what the discussion is, but it's yeah, they're invested.
They are very, very deeply invested, and but now they've gone over the hooter, or the little tune. I think it's a little bit of ABBA that they play to tell everyone that it's. The point has been conceded, and I think that's the right call. Valet with her goal to go with her 2 assists in this game, and the team from Noisy-le-Sec, the outskirts of Paris, score to make it 13-9, and an emphatic win. And just to give you just kind of the context of that game, Yaka were beaten by Groot Ladies earlier in this tournament. Iceni were beaten by Shout in the pools. And Yaka are the team that continue into the semis here at Tom's Tourney, with Iceni wrapping it up. It's been Tom Styles alongside Rachel Douglas for this brilliant women's quarter-final. We're back in Tom's Tourney in just a minute, where we've got action coming up in the men's with Clapham facing off against a team which I'm not quite sure of yet, but we will find out. Tune in for Find Out, and watch more here from Tom's Tourney.
Merci beaucoup.
Alti.tv